back to the question. We can know when someone is addicted to drugs by observing his personality and his behavior. When a person is addicted to drugs, his or her personality changes into negative. There is a loss of seeing in his or her memory. It is also visible that his or her health deteriorates. And it is also visible that it affects his personal and professional life. As when a person becomes unhealthy, he becomes poor in performing the daily tasks or in any workplace, which leads to affecting his professional relationship. Therefore, using drugs or addiction in drugs is a very dangerous thing. So one must stay away from drugs, say no to drugs and say yes to life. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. When you truly want to give a good answer, you have to really actually take time, think and speak. Thank you, that was contestant number 6. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the remaining 7 contestants from both the male and the female categories competing for Mr. and Miss Mega Model Hunt 2022. We'll move on again with the questions. Contestant number 7. Your question is, does tobacco causes cancer? If so, why?
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, respected judges. According to my opinion, yes, tobacco causes cancer because tobacco is an addictive and dangerous substance that contains various chemicals and deadly substances that when people consume, it deteriorates their immune system, and so it also affects me.
Thank you. Contestant number 7. Mr. Mega Model Hunt 2022, contestant number 7. Your question is, what is your opinion on women trafficking?
Thank you, Miss, for the question, and good evening to one and all. Women trafficking. Women trafficking. These women traffickers are those people who unlawfully kidnap women or girls for child labor or for sexual harassment and for their economic gain. Thank you.
Next, contestant number 8. Contestant number 8, your question is, can sex offenders be effectively managed by law?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your question. Most respected judges and to all the beautiful ladies and gentlemen out here, my answer will be yes. It can be managed by the law. Why? Because there are loads of laws and articles where the offenders can be punished according to the laws. Thank you.
Contestant number 8. Contestant number 8, your question is, do you think smoking is injurious to health? Why?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, respected panel of judges, beautiful hosts, fellow worthy contestants, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Miss, for the question. Well, yes, tobacco and smoking is injurious to health, not only to the smoker, but also to the environment and people around him. We all know smokers, they do have health effects by smoking, but we all know the people around the smokers, who we call them passive smokers, they are at more risk. Smoking causes lung cancer, throat cancer, asthma, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very smart answer. Ladies and gentlemen, most of the questions that we're asking to the contestants are based on trafficking as well as drug and alcohol abuse. This show is about, spreading the message in order to stop trafficking as well as, alcohol and drug abuse. So all the questions are based on those topics. We move on again. Up next we have contestant number 9. Contestant number 9, your question is our state safe from sexual harassment? If so, why?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, respected our judges and all my friends. Thank you, ma'am, for the question. Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. Is our state safe from sexual harassment? If so, why?
Well, according to my perspective, Nagaland state is not safe from sexual harassment because there are lots of cases that is doing these things, but people are fearing to tell, or people's credulity or embarrassment. They hide the sexual abuse of the girl child and they don't speak up. So one should encourage to speak up for the girl who was being harassed, and the harasser should be ashamed by their action. Thank you.
Thank you. Contestant number 9. Contestant number 9, your question is, even if you don't consume alcohol or drugs, what is your advice on the upcoming generation?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you for the questions, ma'am. Even if I don't take alcohol, my advice will be to the younger generations to have the determinations and to believe and to stay away from those intoxicant things, and also should not, and also in life should know how to mingle or choose the wrong persons, and also should have a meditations of own self. Thank you.
Thank you. Contestant number 10. Contestant number 10, your question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of mobile phones?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, ma'am, for the question. Well, we all know that mobile phones have become a big part of our life, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages of mobile phones is that we can communicate with people anytime and anywhere, and also we can find knowledge and we can do our projects through the internet. But at the same time, it has its own disadvantages. We cannot communicate. Communicate with face-to-face with our friends and family, and also if we overuse it, we tend to have mental health issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Contestant number 10. Contestant number 10, your question is if your neighbor faces abusive parenting, what would you do?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and respected judges, and thank you, ma'am, for this beautiful question. I would like to say that if my neighbor have abusive parents, then first of all, as an education honor student, I would like to say that first of all, I would like to go and approach to the parents, because of the parents only the child is neglecting and he is going in a bad way. So, in order to advise them, we need to educate the parents first. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the last remaining 4 contestants taking the question. Contestant number 11. Your question is, how would you cope up with someone who suffers with depression?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, ma'am, for your question. So my answer to this is OP. Anxiety and depression is something we humans must take it seriously in this generation, because it is something that people are suffering and taking their life even. So I will deal to everyone present here. Consult your friend if they are suffering from depression. Do not hesitate to listen to what they say. Thank you.
Contestant number 11. Contestant number 11, your question is, what is a human trafficker?
Well, thank you, ma'am, for the question. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My answer to this will be, human trafficking, in a simple term, we can say it as a sexual exploitation. Well, we as a citizen of a democratic country, we can say that I have the right to voice out my voice, the rights that I have. And let us all stand together and raise our voice to have this campaign, or to force to put this human trafficking into an end. Thank you all.
Thank you. Our last 2 contestants taking the question. Contestant number 12. Contestant number 12, your question is, can someone get positive results being diagnosed with anxiety from a medical expert? If so, why?
Thank you, Miss, for the question, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and I believe that every one of us feel anxious every now and then from school, in the school office, relationships, and the list to go. But mental illness is a different case, which I believe is severe and should not be ignored. However, a person who suffers with anxiety or depression should seek the help of medical attention and seek help from the expertise at the earliest. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last contestant taking the question, contestant number 12. Contestant number 12, your question is, does the victim of human trafficking have the right to file a claim for compensation against the human trafficker?
Blessed good evening to each and every one of you present here, respected juries, and thank you so much, ma'am, for the question. So in my opinion, I would say that it's a yes, because during the process of trafficking, the victim faces various kinds of violences, such as mental violence, physical violence, and psychological violence. And in the Indian Constitution, or various constitutions of the world's other countries, there are laws which are against these violences. And during the process, when the claims are given to the victim, he or she has the sense of judgment, and it also prevents from re-victimization. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Those were wonderful, smart, intelligent, wise answers coming from the contestants vying for the title of Mr. and Miss Mega Model Hunt 2022. I believe the judges are having a very difficult time after listening to all the answers the contestants has to say with the questions that have taken. Okay, so I think this time, I think we need a little bit of interaction with the judges as well, our three panel of judges. Okay, I think I'll first go with one of our judge, Mr. Ravi Ranjan Kumar. Okay, what are your thoughts on the contestants so far, their performance, their presentation? Maybe we can hear what the judges have to say. Ravi Ranjan Kumar.
Thank you. All